and strong, bro.
Yeah.
But then everybody's like, you should go to Johan. The only heavyweight they've got is Johan, and I'm like, well, he'll roll with, like, he'll do the match.
Yeah.
I don't know how competitive it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Because Johan's also on another level, but
Yeah.
I mean,
Johan is just on another planet, and he's just so good.
Did you guys have you ever had a match with him?
No, never a match. He's always been totally out of my weight, but we rolled multiple times before. We went to Abu Dhabi like in 2014 together.
Yeah.
He was the brown belt. He was a brown belt. I was a blue belt. We rolled together in the hotel. Like, I've known him since then, and there were some times here and there I went up to Korean Arms. I rolled with him there. He came down to Cape Town. He was in Darling for a little while for work, and I rolled with him there. He's an enigma as well. Like, the guy has zero social media.
Yeah.
It's just always so interesting with people. Like, they literally have no presence online. They're just like who they are.
Yeah. He's got a YouTube, I think. He's got one video, actually, because I searched on Google or I searched on YouTube or something because I wanted to see some matches. There's two videos. There's one of him as a brown belt in, like, overseas somewhere.
Yeah.
And then there's a video of him as a white belt.
Oh, wow.
And he won, like, I don't know which competition he won, but he was still doing that pendulum sweep the whole time, like, from white belt level.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy to check it. Like,
yeah, the first I heard of him, actually, there was a competition in Camps Bay at the same school, and must have done like something in they arranged like a super fight with him and Matthew Taylor. And everyone was like, who's this guy as a brown belt? Like, who is he? Like, nobody knows about him. Where did he train? They didn't train under anyone. You're like, he's on Stellenbosch University. You're like, what? He's got a brown belt already. Like, okay, cool. And then he just screamed Maddie, and we were like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And he's just strong as well.
I heard, yeah.
He's very strong. He's a strong man.
Yeah.
He's very strong. Like, it's just like the strength ratio is, people say the same thing about me, but he is. Yeah, he's very strong.
Yeah.
He holds you and he moves your arm. The arm's being moved. Really get you don't get a lot of say in the matter. And
then his technique is also like flawless, eh?
Yeah, he's got like some sweet technique. Even when anytime I've rolled with him, like when I was there and when he was like, I know I'm trying, and it feels like he's not trying.
Yeah,
which is very frustrating because you're like, I know he's not even giving it. He knows I'm lighter than him, so he's probably. It's like me rolling with the girls, like I hold back or you hold back. You gauge with the females, which is so you don't just like smash them as really. And so I can tell he's doing that with me, which is frustrating because I'm still losing.
Yeah, feels like when you first start and you're like rolling with your coach almost. It's like you can gauge. Yeah. But you guys both went to the trials now. It was like part of the team.
Yeah, we were all there.
How did you won one of the divisions, eh? You did. You won the Masters, eh?
Division, yeah. I fought adult, and I fought against a French guy first, and I beat him on points, I smashed him on points, and I got him with a knee bar in the last like 10 seconds, which was cool. Because when I went last year to Poland, I was like, I know I'm in the Masters division, but for me, I put a lot of pressure on myself to like even do well in the adults, because in Cape Town, at my own club everywhere, I just fight against adults. I still feel like I'm young and strong, and I'm like, there's no reason for me to just perform well against adults, I don't see like why I shouldn't. So like in my mind, I don't want to call it pressure, but like I feel like I should do well against adults, and so I fought in adults then, and I lost my first fight, but my goal was to get past the first round. But I actually fought like a pretty like decent guy. He what was his name, Matthew Hughes or Maddie Hughes or something like that, and he went on to like win 3 fights, and then this time as well I watched him in the adult division and he won 3 or 4 fights, so he's not bad. He's from the UK. So I lost to him, but it was literally like I chased him down the entire fight. This was last year, and he beat me. We watched the fights. I mean, there were a couple of moments where I think I should have actually gotten points earlier on, which maybe might have changed things in terms of like the pressure I was putting on. But then, in the last, like, again, 30 seconds, I like chase him down unnecessarily. He throws me. I land on my head, like as I'm recoupering, he's on my back. And then had the fight continued, he would have finished the choke on me. But I was watching the timer going like, I'm not going to get choked to a sub,
Yeah.
And then I fought adult then, and I won, fighting 2 guys, but that was at Masters 2 because I had already turned 40. And so this time I was like, I'm going to fight Masters 1 because there's more guys in Masters 1 as well. I was going to get more fights. And so I fought Masters 1, and that was again just fought two guys. One of them actually fought in Masters 2 as well, so respect to him. But I beat him, and then some other guy. It was pretty cool because Davis had beat me. Davis, his name Davis Asari or whatever. That he beat. I lost to him, whatever 9-0 something, and it was kind of cool. It's kind of cool to fight him because this is a guy that's trained has been training with Ryan, and Kurt's been talking about him for a while because Kurt got into the US and he was like, oh no, they got this young guy from Norway, like Ghanaian heritage, and he's just an animal, he's so strong. And so then that's who I get, and I've been hearing about this guy for the past year and a half, 2 years. So yeah.
What was it like though? I mean, was it everything you thought it was going to be?
He's so strong. Really? Yeah. And the guy, he didn't make weight last year in Poland. So, and the weigh-in was moved to the day before. So if a guy doesn't make 77 on a day before weigh-in, he's walking around big. Yeah, really big. So I could feel that. As soon as he grabbed me, I was like, whoop. Yeah. Body lock. And yeah, very strong, and he did this great body lock pass. But somehow, for me, it was a couple of times we watched the fight, I'm sliging because I'm I'm gonna survive this. I'm not gonna get subbed.
Your goals change.
I move the goalpost a little bit, and I'm okay, I just don't want to get subbed. And sometimes that's how it is.
That's a win. I mean, if that's what you're going for.
Yeah, and I'm the guy goes on and comes second. So he goes on and comes second in the division, and so you survived against it. Okay, great, you got some defense, and unless he thought, shame this old man, I'm going to take it easy on him.
No. It's legit. No, I'm sure it was. I'm sure it wasn't, dude. It's a competition, most of the time.
Yeah.
There's one video of Gordon Ryan going up against a casual and giving him stuff.
Yeah.
But other than that, bro, surely, I mean, it's a competition. So.
Yeah. He's not going to do that, I'm sure.
But now, do you guys I know? So if you're in the pro division or the men's division and you win the trials, you go to the main show in Las Vegas, right?
Yeah.
Is it the same for Masters as well? Or?
No, it's not the same for Masters. For Masters, it's just bragging rights. So yeah, I mean that's how it is, unfortunately. But yeah, it's such a good experience to be there. Just to see the levels, and everybody in that room is obsessive, and and where you are. Maybe to win one of the fights, or to watch Johan do well, and even Dill hold his own, and all these guys, everybody there. Carl Landy won his first fight.
That guy's a blue belt, and he's
this doesn't matter anymore.
No, I know the belts, but I mean it's a sort of a gauge. But
I think with the young guys, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't. You can't even the belt order for a full timer doesn't really count, because your response time is just so much better than somebody who's I don't even know if Carl is a full-timer, but for my example of Connor train with, he's just you watch someone who does it 2 or 3 times a day. There is just no ways that somebody who has a job, who has a business, who has life and kids and stuff like that can keep up with that with a young mind, because it's so your young brain is so absorbent. It's the same as how kids learn languages.
Yeah.
It's jiu-jitsu is a language, right? So it's they're just absorbing it. So, and you put when I started training, there was this purple belt at the time, Paul. He doesn't train anymore. I think he's stopped on a brown belt. But he said to me something that I've always said to other people, and I've always remembered. And it was always, he said, when you train and you train again in a week, and you train twice in one day, he was it's compound interest. It's compound interest on training, and you really start to see that when you spend time with someone who trains 2 or 3 times a day. You really get to see how that experience and your timing and everything is compound. It's not just 1 + 1. It's 1 + 1 equals 3. 3 + 3 equals and it just keeps going like that. And that's why it becomes that's why you don't take anyone for granted, and that's why someone I could fight a lot of guys maybe a year ago. Connor, for example, maybe 2 years ago, I would be able to just have my way with him, you say, I'll be able to move around him, and now, that's completely out the window.
Sure.
And so you can't think that, I've been doing the sport for 10 years, but you have a lot of other things on the go in your life. It's another guy can do this for 2 years. He can compound interest his experience, and he will give, You know, so it's very exciting now to see also with a lot of the young guys to see like who's gonna be that guy.
Yeah.
You know, who's gonna be that guy that like somebody rolls with, maybe Jason, you know, if he's able to really get enough momentum. Connor, you know, like everyone's like, you know, I love Johan, like he's so cool, enigma he is, but like everybody wants to see him lose.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same as me. Like a lot of people in South Africa, they like want to see me lose. Like they like,
yeah.
You know, if a guy wins too much, like you just want to see him lose.
Yeah, you want to know, I think it's more, you know, I wanted to see how he lost in Poland.
Yeah.
You know, not so much that I wanted to see him lose. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, but I wanted to just know, like, because like when you watch him, like him, for example, now, roll, and I'm sure it's the same with people watching you here. It's like you can be in compromising positions, but never, like someone could be deep on your knee line and a heel hook and still not heel hook you. And you'd like, looks like you're in trouble for that time, and then get out of it and then just go dominate the person afterwards.
Yeah.
So then people, like for me, I wanted to know, like, what does it actually take to beat him?
Yes.
You know what I mean? And a lot of the times, actually, it's just the normal techniques. It's just that people do the techniques well.
Yeah.
You know? But I know exactly what you mean. Yeah,
I don't
like seeing people win too much. You know?
I mean, like, look at, like, I think Sub Kings and those guys, they like banned him, you know?
I was wondering why he's not on there anymore.
Yeah, they're like, well, there's no point having you on. It's just too obvious, you know? And so like, you don't wish his demise. You just like, you don't wish his demise.
You want to be more competitive.
But you also wish that you see other people get to where he is. Yeah. That's what it is, you know, not to watch him lose. You want to see others get to where he is, you know, and that becomes exciting, you know, when there's like 5 to 10 guys who are all like as good, you know, and that's so good for a community and for a country, because if they are as good as him, I mean, that's what happened with Chris and Dill now, is like, you know, they got lucky, or not lucky, but they landed their asses in the butt in terms of like a training partner, you know, in the form of Johan, you know, so you know, that's what's so awesome.
The knowledge, must be.
And it's just, I mean, I know they do a lot of the coaching there at Criange, but just to have him as a sparring partner, you know, so that's so cool.
I just want to know how he gets better. You know, I spoke to Chris Bright on the weekend about it as well. You know, so like, how do you get better? And that becomes the next thing. You know, if you're like the best. You know, like for you, like you now at Renzo, I'm sure you're probably, if not the best.
Yeah.
You know, you're up like in the top 2 or 3. I mean,
definitely.
Like, how do you go about getting better, and how, or at least, I mean, at the bare minimum, retaining what you have and then starting to build on that.
Yeah. So I funny because I had this conversation with Peyton actually in Croatia, when she was like bummed out. She thought she was going to take it. She thought she would, and we all thought so as well. And she's like, she's got such a great like fighting mindset, and like she's just like ruthless, but in a good way for competition. And she was just like bummed out. She's like, what's it gonna take? You know, she's training every day. And I was like, there's something that you're doing, there's a point at which you're at, and then there's something else you can do. Like, what is that? You know, and that is a question you have to ask yourself. And you know, with Johan, it might be very obvious. It might be like, you need to put yourself in like an environment where you're 1 of 10, not you are the best thing.
The 1 of 1, yeah.
And so that's maybe, that's might be as easy as that. You know, or maybe it's like twice a day. You know, it might be as easy as that. So yeah, for me, I asked myself the same question, and that's actually what I asked myself about maybe 2 or 3 years ago, when you kind of like saw my competitive Reese like coming back to being competitive. Is I asked myself like, oh, what do I have to do to become like to level up a little bit, you know, and like, what do I have to do? And so for me, it was like more time on the mats, obviously, because you can do 4 days a week, or you can do 5 days a week, or whatever it is. But for me, it was like, I could see the other guys like Geordie. I was watching Geordie, Peyton, and Connor train 2 or 3 times a day because they're young and it's jiu-jitsu is their life. And I was like, well, I've got my business, and I've got this, and I've got my dad, and I've got everything. And I thought, what can I do? And I was like, I've got to somehow squeeze in some other time, some other hours, and then also say yes to every single competition. You know, not like, oh, see how I'm feeling, you know, which is what generally most of us are like. You know, so see I'm feeling, or see how,
just the circumstances aren't right or something.
Make the decision. Oh, I haven't been training enough. Like, none, all that. I was like, all that bullshit out the window. It's like every single thing you can do, every single comp. Saw Justin, and I was like, you know, guys, put me in. Like, yeah, I want to fight. You know? Yeah, that was quite funny. The initial 8-man when they did with the 77, they were like, my name wasn't on the list initially. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Are you not going to put me on the list?
Yeah.
And then like I think there was an injury, or Sindile had a EFC fight or something like that, and then like space became available, obviously. But yeah, even in that first, I wasn't like a first choice in that first 8-man, and then I obviously went and proved myself pretty well in it, and since then like flown up to
every single one pretty
much. I flew to Durban, I flew to Joburg, and I'll just do a one day. I'll fly at a 7 a.m. flight, and I'll get back on it to 8 p.m. flight, just to be there. You know, just to be there, present, compete, be part of it. And it's also like I love a submission only format. Yeah. Even though a lot of my fights went to
decision overtime. Sorry.
Yeah, I went to overtime, and I think it's obviously when you go, we do a lot of fights, and you're trying not to like fully exert yourself because you're at altitude. It's very difficult.
And that's a killer. People don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually pretty cool that a lot of the belts are held by guys who live on the coast. You know, that's pretty impressive for itself, because I think all the belts are held by guys who are on the coast except for like one or two. You know?
I think if I just think now, Jason, Davey, you,
it was Geordie.
I think Chris Steenkamp might be the only one that's
Chris and I
mean, even Johan's. I think Johan's on the coast now as well. Okay, was up in Johannesburg that time, but
no,
but he didn't win a belt. Geordie got one. You're right. Yeah.
PFA guy. What's Jelson?
Yeah, Jelson. Yeah.
Coast. Yeah. So it's pretty impressive that we go to Joburg. These guys go from the coast, go to Joburg. It's an added, you know, if you're fighting like a guy with strength, power, speed,
fitness, everything,
fitness, knowledge, boom. Then the last one is you against the altitude. You know, that is something, that is a factor that every single one of them. I'm training with Darina's come down now. She's in this 8 women, and the question always comes up. It's like, what is altitude like? Whereas like it's a non-factor for anyone who lives in Joburg. You know? It's not something that ever comes up, and no one's ever going like, oh, you know, they don't think
the coastal airs.
It's their normal thing, or they
just come in like, this is awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
But does it hit you if you fly up on the same day? Because I've flown up to Johannesburg, I mean a bunch, and then even to like driven to Northwest. And that first day it's not too bad usually, but then that second day is where it really hits you.
Yeah.
So like it's obviously a factor, but it I'm sure if you actually, it's probably a blessing in disguise if you go up on the same day, because maybe there's not as much time for it to hit you like fully. Yeah. Or does it? I mean,
I think with altitude, I think if you like think about the science with it, it's like it's not necessary if you drip, your standard breathing is fine. It's when you have to go deep.
Yeah.
It's like to the tips of the branches of your. That's where it becomes a problem. So you'll usually find, like, and that's what happened to me in the 8-man, is like I fought Brandon initially, and it was like the full 9 minutes, and I was like, I went balls to the wall, like, you know, and afterwards, obviously, you felt like, wow, dude, that's intense. And then it went up against Reese afterwards, and also went hard 6-7 minutes in, like, and it's just like you literally feel like someone's just dunked you in some water, you know, and I had that also when I flew up to Joburg, and then at one of the Sub Kings comps last year, where I went to like in the depths of some of the fights where you can feel your lungs are like digging into like the little branch tips.
Yeah.
They're trying to like really just fill with oxygen, and it's not getting like you normally get.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, even with a 1 day or a 5 day, I think you have to go up there. I don't know what it is. The internet's conflicting, but
that's fair enough, you know, because that's actually a good way to explain it, because it's like if you've got this much air in your lungs, usually now it's just constricted.
Yeah.
And you can't go to where you normally go. That's actually a good way of explaining it.
Yeah, it's like the branches are not, they just can't like extend.
They're not branching as much as they usually do.
So I didn't really, I felt it a little bit against Dill when I fought against Dill, and I think maybe at the end of the fight with Chris I felt it a little bit, but not too much. That was like, it was nice. It was like we both went all out, you know. And
but Chris is originally from Renzo, isn't he, as well?
Yeah.
You guys knew each other.
Yeah, he was a white belt with me. I was like blue or a purple belt. We trained together. It was cool. And I think he left as like a blue belt, and then went back to Joburg for work and went to Portugal and stuff like that. So yeah, we are teammates and friends, you know. We are. So yeah, it's like with all these guys, you know, the whole. There's no, I don't know of any actual beef in the amongst the competitors. You know, everyone's, and that's the thing. Like with any martial artist, it's like, you know, it's not if you look for someone in a public place and the guy who's calm and relaxed, it's the martial artist, right? So that's the whole concept. Is like, you know what combat is about. You're a little bit more wary of it, and you respect it, and
you know the consequences are
consequences. Yeah. So, but I think that like that overflows into the community and how people treat each other generally, and like all the competitors. You know, you go to Sub Kings, it's like in the back, everyone's got good vibes.
Yeah.
In the morning, in the weigh-ins, it's all good vibes.
Yeah.
It's the same thing on Sunday at AJP. Like I'm standing with Chad for like 15 minutes and we're having a laugh, you know, and we're talking about this and that. And it's so like, yeah, I mean, the competitive community amongst the guys is like, everyone's mates as far as I know. Everyone gets along really well with each other, you know. I mean,
that's the way it should be.
Exactly, yeah, yeah. And so that's cool. So yeah, he left as blue belt, and he's also done really well to part of his gym. You know, he's instructing there, he's training, he's so strong. You know, him and Dole is like two guys that are they feed off each other. You know, and they've got some other young guys there now also coming up that are like with Connor, just like some young guys that are just learning at a compound rate some guys must be careful of.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
So you got your black belt was it at the beginning of this year?
Yeah,
end of last year,
1st of December. Yeah.
How long what was the total time training?
Yeah, so I think I started in I always get my dates a little bit mixed up because it's a blur a little bit, but I think I started in like end of 2012.
Okay.
Yeah, at the end of 2012, beginning of 2013. Yeah, okay. That's what I think. Might have done like one class in December 2012. I mean, my first jiu-jitsu ever I was living in London actually, and I came back in 2010. But I think it was the year before, or within like the early parts of 2010, I was working at a train company in Paddington Station in Heathrow Express, and one of my colleagues, James, him and I, we both do weights and stuff like that, and we talk about doing weights and training. And he was like, I've heard about this MMA class at this place called London Shoot Fighters. And he's like, do you want to go? We can on a day off, you know, we work shift work. And so I was like, oh, sweet, I'll come along with you. And so we go to like London Shoot Fighters, and they were like in this, like going down this alleyway, and it's just these like hangar type, mechanic next to it and some other sort of warehouse next in, and it's like wall to wall top.
Yeah.
And go there and we like, you know, do the front rolls and the back rolls, and you're like, what the hell is this? You know, and it was MMA based, so it was no gi MMA based, where you like pinned the guy's arm and then they showed you like this is where you punch from, and I did one class and then that was cool. And then like a few weeks or months later, we like, rather than gym, we go back there again. And the second time I go there, like sparring at the end like we always do, you know, and they put me with like some dude who's just like, you know, cauliflowered and tattoos head to toe, you know. I'm like, he looks like a monster, and I like grab him by his neck and like guillotine him, and he's like on the verge of tapping, and all his mates on the side are just like, whoa, you know, he almost got you there. And these guys are all obviously competitors, and you know, maybe brown or black belt at the time, and I almost got him, and then he like proceeded to armbar me like a bunch of times. And then the coach calls me over afterwards, and it's like this guy was like coaching some of the UK UFC fighters and stuff like that at the time. And he's like, you know, how old are you? You know, what's your story? And like, well, you know, explain I'm going back to South Africa in a few months. And he's like, oh, it's a pity, man. You should come train some more. You know, obviously, like it's seen there was some fighting, you know. And that was actually spurred off me coming back when I came out. I was like, hey, I've got to find this jiu-jitsu, you know, like, where can I go and train this stuff, you know? So, and that was like 2010, and I only walked into the gym at like end of 2012, you know. You just don't get, like,
could you just not find a place, or was it just like life was getting in the way?
And it's like, you know, it's just like you want to do this thing, it's on your list of things you want to do, and
you just never get around to
the motivation and like the fear and the nervousness. I'm going to walk into this place, everyone's going to be so tough, you know, like it's all like everyone's going to kick my ass, you know. You just have
get in your own head, man.
Everyone has this, you know. Like, so I said it on my black belt speech actually in December, and I was like, I think that for me the toughest day at jiu-jitsu was just walking up the stairs for the first time, you know. And like obviously I was very fortunate, I got I feel like I was very fortunate. I walked into Renzo Gracie for the first time, and that was also just a chance thing because I'd like emailed a lot of people. They'll email the club because that's how they want to like engage initially. This day and age, people email like, what's your fees? What are your training times like? And so I'd done that for like, I think I'd done it for Renzo's, I'd done it for Dragon Power at the time, and I think I'd gone to PFA because a mate of mine was in town from Switzerland, and he was interested in doing it. So like I'd gone with him and just watched him train there. So like I just like gone around and like just check places out. And I wasn't really, we have that now ourselves, where you see a guy and he's been to PFA and he's been to there and he's been to there. People shop around on their jiu-jitsu, like where they're going to go train because they don't know, And so I was actually working at a job out in Constantia in Westlake, and there was a guy that I was working with, and he was like, oh, my friend from school, Wesley, him and his brother, they're on Renzo Gracie. And so it was this ex-school mate of Wesley, Kurt's brother. And he was the kind of the one that said like, you must go there. And so he was kind of just the one that nudged me in that direction. So that was also like a chance way that I just walked into the room, which is I always like to look at it as like pretty cool.
Yeah, dude, you're working with somebody and they just happen to know.
Yeah, and they're like, and it's not like such a big part of my life. I'm the guy on the emails now.
Oh right, yeah.
I'm the guy that like I do a lot of the I just do like a lot of the like welcoming the new members or like just the interaction on the emails, or the phone. I've got the gym phone with me all the time, so a lot of like the initial correspondence is coming from me, and I try and be this person that I was looking for, back then, because it's like some people just need a nudge. They just need hey, come anytime or this time, or they just need that. And I don't think they were too good at it back then.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, at least you got to change it now,
Yeah, definitely. They definitely weren't that good at it back then. So, it was like.
How big was it back then, and like how many people were there? Because, I mean, it's not super long ago, but in jiu-jitsu years, it's quite a long time ago.
Yeah, because the sport has really exploded. We had like, we'd have like classes like 30 guys in the evenings, and
that's big for. I mean, for back then, that's.
Yeah, our club is quite large. It's got 2 mats in it. Have you been there before?
I haven't. No, I've seen the videos and stuff of it before, but I've never actually been inside.
2 pretty large mats. Mat space. So we used to separate the beginners, and we still do separate the beginners and the advanced. I think after like 3 stripes, you move to the 3 stripes on the white belt. You go to the advanced mat. That's if you're training in the evening generally, where most of the. But it can be like 30 then, and like 20 and 30 then, or 10 and 30 or 40, and then. But now it's like, I don't know. It can be like 60 guys on the advanced mat, and like 30, 40 on like a Tuesday evening, on the busy evening. So we got a lot of the numbers are big there.
Yeah.
And it's cool. We got the space for it too. So it was like, there's some guys who are still there that I train with, which is so cool. I love it. Sometimes we'll take a picture and we're like, check at this. 2013, here we go, guys.
Or Facebook will pop a memory like it always does.
Yeah, you're like, hey, check Jody, we still here. We're still doing it. And then you also remember like all these guys that have like got on and got off, and or like life has gotten in the way, or like some of them are parents now, or like it's just difficult.
Stuff happens.
Yeah. So you miss some of these guys, but you see them in the reminders, the Facebook reminders from time to time.
And then like from there, when you start, obviously you go up the ranks. Like, what was your initial like way of getting better, and sort of like, did you always have that mindset of like competing and doing as much as possible? I know you had a resurgence like a couple of years back, but like, most people you speak to now, when they white belt, the first thought is, when am I going to get to blue belt? And they go do everything to try to do it, competitions, as many classes as possible. Like, what was were you like a little bit more laid back about it in the beginning, or always just full out?
I came there because I had been doing like CrossFit exercises, because I've always trained. I've done half marathons. I played soccer my whole life. I was always just like very active and very physical. I worked in a gym. I was like a fitness instructor just out of school, so I've always like been physically like active and keen to be like physically challenged, So when I walked in there, I was already like, it was perfect of the tough guy that walks into a tough guy, strong guy, that walks into a gym and gets his ass handed to him.
Everybody's got a humbling story.
Yeah. Like, the first person I ever sparred with at Renzo's at least was a girl, and they put me with like Mira. She was 16 years old at the time or something like that, you know, and like she's the first sparring partner I had at the end of the class.
Yeah.
Know? And so, but I was like always pretty. I remember being frustrated on the beginner's mat because I was like I could feel that I was just a little bit like more stronger or head a little bit than like other beginner guys. But I mean, asked me to do a single leg or like some basic techniques. Obviously, I didn't have any of that. You know, I think back to how like it was all like all over my head. You know, so. But I was like pretty driven then already, and we had a lot of in-houses, and I was like, I like when I was in a final with Matthew Taylor, like purple belt, and I'm a white belt, like in my first competition, you know, first competition, you know, we had some other people come in and also do it. We had these Mother City Opens. I remember that's what they used to be called. And like, so like I competed early on, and I fought some like higher belt guys as a white belt, and I did pretty well, you know, like Richie had been there for a little while longer. He was already a blue belt and already like destroying people. I had like fought him, and obviously these are my teammates, but like we fought each other in competitions. Francois that was here on the weekend, the French guy. Yeah, we were actually talking about on the weekend. In my first year, I had fought him at a competition, and it was the absolute final, and I was a white belt and he was a purple belt.
Oh, hectic.
And he was doing the same kind of like twisting your gi around.
Yeah.
I remember like tightening the belt so
to
hard
make sure he couldn't make use of it.
Couldn't open it, yeah. And so we still laugh about it now. I actually got my blue belt on that day, and I also fought that same day. I fought Chris Brighton like for third and fourth.
Jeez,
you know, and he's a black belt, and I'm like, I'm a white belt. But it just shows you like that we didn't really have a lot of guys competing. It's so cool now that you have like, you know, 3, 4, 5 guys in each division, or even bigger, like 12 or 14 divisions. I mean, that's so cool, you know. But like, it just shows you like back then we had like, you know, you could land up fighting a white belt in a final or something.
Yeah. Did you ever do gas?
Yes, yeah.
Because everyone's also got a gas story because you had to like fight everybody in your bracket.
It was a round robin. I mean, the fact that gas isn't around now is like, come on.
Well, they brought it back. Rico brought it back. Oh no, that was Alpha. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't think Rico ran gas.
Some other guy.
Sorry, someone else ran gas.
No,
I just remember gas was so. Actually, I've told a couple of people, but like I started jiu-jitsu in 2007. Actually.
Okay. Wow.
For like 6 months or a year.
Yeah.
And then I did one competition, which was called the Carlson Gracie Africa Cup, which was like also they just brought people. It was in PE. It was Chris Bright, Rico, and I think Carlson Gracie's like guys. And then I stopped. So I went overseas and I started studying and whatever. But I kept an eye, like I still had the people on Facebook, and I would just see all the stuff about gas, Alpha, and then ADCC came along and like all of these competitions. And then I would watch it and I'm like, yes, these things are going one against the next all the time. It's like, look brutal. Yeah, and there was no time limits in some of them as well.
It was 10-minute match in the division, 10-minute fight, and it was round robin. So you'd fight everyone. It was 8 guys. You would fight everybody once for 10 minutes. Jeez. Submission only. There's no points. I mean, this is cool. And then the finals was no time limit. And I remember like watching like, there was some guys like Bruno and like Kyle, that used to train with us, like also like ex Muay Thai fighter and like just a monster, like physical dude, and him and Bruno like in like an 18-minute final.
I've heard 40-something minutes.
Super exciting, but super exciting. I remember the room. I was in this hall in Monte Vista actually. I remember, and it was like super exciting. It was very, very cool. I had done like an intermediate or beginner division at the time because it was probably within my first year, or I don't think I had a blue belt then yet. And I'd had like 4 or 5 guys in my thing, and I won my division in gas. I think it was like me and Bruce Hudson, and there's a couple of guys like.
It was a crazy time because, like you say, you're a white belt and you can go up against a black belt.
Yeah,
it's like there's no like, oh no, there's too much of a gap or whatever. Like now, some people are still like debating whether they should do, intermediate or advanced or pro or whatever at ADCC. But back then it was just like, hey bro, if this thing's going to last it's going to be 10 seconds, it's going to be 10 seconds or,
No, but I think they did separate them by beginners and intermediate or something.
Did they?
Yes. Yeah, because I definitely didn't fight. Or maybe I'm wrong, eh? Maybe everyone was just kind of beginnerish. but I don't remember fighting, or maybe it was just under 70, 75 or whatever it was. That was like, there weren't any guys that were like heavy experience. I can't actually remember.
I guess it depends on how many people there were probably, you know, if there weren't enough, then they probably just lumped them all together.
Yeah, I'm trying to think now, but it's a long time ago, man.
Yeah, yeah.
But it would be cool. It's such a great format. And I remember it being very exciting, probably some of the most exciting like memories I have about like the competitions and watching like my other teammates fight in these like 18-minute, like when you watch a fight go to 18 minutes,
it's brutal.
It becomes very cool because it's like you're not watching just two people fight. You're like, what can they do with like where both of them are like demise? You're like they are falling apart, but they still have to, you know, keep maintaining to survive against each other. So I remember like some really cool fights in that on that format. But yeah, we had like Mother City Opens, I think that's what they were called. And there was Alpha, and Gas. I don't know if there was anything else really.
And ADCC started to come around. And I think AJP was a little bit later.
Yeah. I remember AJP. Some of my first like gi memories and stuff like that was AJP. For Cam, at one point broke my toe. I fought a whole bunch of guys in Joburg who are still like Storm and Dino and a whole bunch of guys that
still around.
Yeah, still training now. Yeah, that's most of them are not under 77. Yeah. No, I think that's also
you've been under 70. You've been like a similar.
Well, if you think about it, like I found the sport as a fully grown adult.
True.
You know, so like my weight is my weight, but like most of these other guys I was fighting were like, same with Reese maybe, and like
they were young, you know.
They were young, so they were still like, they still had like 4, 5, 6 years of growth in them. Never mind like before the brandies and the coke comes along. You know. So
but I mean, even when you get older, like your bone density increases and stuff, like it's inevitable. But I guess, you know, you can weigh the same, but your body composition can be completely different, you know, like where as you start to get older, your muscle also becomes a lot more dense. It's a completely different look. Like if you're active, you can act, they call it old man muscle. You know, I mean, not that, I mean, in modern day, like we were talking about Fani earlier, he's also like, I think he just turned 41.
Okay.
You know, and like people are competing in their 40s, no problem now, you know. But it's a completely different look. Like there's benefits to it. It as well, you know.
Yeah, so it's quite interesting for me because a lot of those guys that I've used to fight in my beginning years were young men, and then now they are like fully grown men, and they're like lots of them are a different weight, like in a weight kit, different weight. Me and Jamie Himmel, we were like, when I started, he was, I think one of my first classes. He's got his blue belt at Renzo's, and then he moved back to Joburg. And so like, and then we went up to, there was this Monster Clash. There was another competition that we had gone up to Joburg for, and we fought each other there, but we were both under 76 or something like that. Now he fights, you know, under 85, 90 kgs. A lot of the guys have gotten into weightlifting. So yeah, there's a lot of guys that like I fought that are a lot heavier now. They're all like 90 but I've still maintained my cardio. A few times I've like fluctuated a little bit heavier, and because the way I roll is like, I shouldn't be rolling the pace that I roll at, because I like to go like, I like to create mayhem, and I like to it's like my personality. I enjoy this fast pace like rolling experience. So like I can't be too much heavier because I can't do it at that weight. And so now last year after Poland, I went up to like 84 kgs, and I was rolling, and I could just feel myself like
sluggish,
not moving the way I move, you know. And then went back down to 75. Now at Ace I weighed in at 75, and it's just like I'm just moving quickly, you know. And it like I enjoy it. You know?
And I'm sure the ratio as well of strength, because a lot of the misconception everyone always has, like the heavier you are, the stronger you are. That's not always the case. You know, and even sometimes like I'm sure there's that fine balance of having like, okay, sure, maybe you might be stronger, but then how long can you use it for compared to when you're less, exactly, you know, way less.
Yeah, that's speed and power. Jiu-jitsu is also multiple fights in a day. So, you know, that's where it becomes difficult if you don't feel like agile. And I think that's a big thing, agility. Like that's one of the biggest things, obviously, that people like maybe don't look at it. Think, power, strength, weightlifting, this. But it's like agility. It's like flexibility and strength simultaneously. You know, that's very important in jiu-jitsu. So for me, I found after going up and down, like I'm just happier. a little bit lighter, you know, and I don't feel like too much notice of strength. I mean, if I do some weights, I can't like bench certain weights or like chest press certain weights, but it doesn't matter. You know? It's not like those aren't the things that really matter enough, you know. And you see that with the young guys who don't even touch weights. Like it's like I roll with Geordie, and like guy doesn't do weights. He doesn't have like a weight lifting program.
Yeah.
And he's like ridiculously good, and it feels like he's very strong.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? He's not lifting weights.
Yeah.
So it's like
is that because his technique is on point?
Technique, but also just that agility. So he's got like he's got a movement in the far reach of his leg, or his you know, when he's in a position, it's like his body's able to move that in a way that where someone else can't move in that position. You know, and so yeah, he got to a really good point. And when I saw him in Poland last year, it was just like looked like a completely different person.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, oh,
he's out in Texas, eh?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I was like, wow, that's not the Geordie that I've seen before, you know. And like, I was excited about him coming back, but I don't know what his plans are now. So he seems to have almost trying to make home there as well.
Yeah, why not? I mean, if you got the chance, you got to do the stuff while you're young, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Again, also chatting to Jason as well, like he's looking at going into it full time.
Oh, good.
And you know, even Tamilo from a PFA, that's an MMA fighter as well. Like we've had this discussion. You got to do it while you're young. You got to you like, you know, like before you settle down, before you have kids, before you do all of that kind of stuff, because then that becomes the main focus of your life.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't want to know, you know,
with a lot of resistance. Yeah. If you want to, like, I've had some tough times over the past, like, over the past 2-3 years when I'm like prioritizing jiu-jitsu. I've had like tough times in my other parts of my life because
100%, yeah.
Because you have to neglect, you know, and so if those things don't exist in your life, like with these young guys, it's the best time.
Yeah.
You know, it's the best time. So so yeah, it's like, it's rather do it while you're young in that position. But yeah, I'm like frantically still trying to juggle everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, I guess you got to prioritize certain things at certain times.
Yeah.
As long as the biggest thing is obviously still consistency, you know, because you don't know when you're going to need it. You don't know what it is you're going to need, but you know what you got to do on a daily basis or every, you know, on a regular basis to just like keep you ready for when that time comes.
Yeah.
But when you, obviously you done more recently, like all the international competitions and stuff, but when's the first, like, you did it at various like belt levels, right? Did you compete internationally? Yeah.
I only actually did internationally. I did blue belt in Abu Dhabi. I'd won like an AJP when at the time they were giving like the winner in each, I think, absolute division, they gave a ticket through the belt order.
Okay.
And so I'd won the blue belt under 77 absolute a ticket, and I went to Abu Dhabi, and I fought there as a blue belt, and I lost to a guy from Spain by rest decision, which is like,
yeah, it's shit.
You go there, like you fly all the way there, you know, the sport can be ruthless, you know.
Yeah.
You go all the way there, you compete and you lose in 5 minutes to like a rest decision. Okay, it's one thing getting subbed, but like, yeah, and then you go back to like the warm-up mats at the back and in this massive arena in Abu Dhabi. Like it's one of like some of the most distinct memories I have in the sport, where you like have a moment with yourself that's just so intense. You know, you fly all this way, you'd like take all the time out, you've done a weight cut, you know, you go out there, it's 5 minutes, useless.
Yeah.
You know, and you just sit with yourself at the back, and it's just that's that experience. Which is actually so good as well, because sometimes I often look back on that experience and I almost enjoy that I lost now, you know, because it's just like such a big motivating experience. So, yeah, I did that as a blue belt, and then I just like, purple belt. I competed a fair bit, but not as much as I wanted to. And then brown belt is when I started, and then through brown belt, I was like, oh, actually, I need to level this up or like be extra committed. And also the realization, I think, of what happened is I had my brown belt and I was in my approaching mid to late 30s. Yeah. And then you start to have the realization like, oh, your physical body doesn't last forever. Like your physical ability to do this like relentlessly at how you want to do it, it doesn't last forever. And so that's, I think maybe that's where like this sort of resurgence came from, like really like being very aware that there's a time scale And I've said it before in those
the sub interviews. That's where I saw it. Yeah,
and it's just like
it was actually hella motivational. Bro,
it's so when you really just sit and think about it. Like sometimes I'll be driving a car, I see an old person, and I'll be like, "Not me, no, you've entered the competition."
Yeah,
if you're like one of these people and you're like, I don't know, I should compete on the weekend, or like someone, it's like just drive around and see an old person, and you'll be like, that's gonna be you one day, and that person cannot even do what you are choosing not to do.
Yeah.
We're like, but for whatever reason that you give reason that I don't know all the reason, but like
no, for the most let's be honest. For the most part, it's bull.
You're like,
you're always in your own head, or like you've been lazy or whatever. Like,
exactly. And I was like, it's all bull reasons, like get in the firing line, be out there,
put yourself out there. Yeah.
So I think that happened at like my mid to late 30s, where I was like a realization that this is. But now I've like, hey, hang on, I want to see if I can just keep doing this. You look at Wagner Rocha and these guys, you're like, they can do it till 44. Like, maybe I could also do it till 44. Why not? Nothing strapped up. I hurt my knee in the second fight with Davis in Croatia, but 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks later now, it's kind of fine. I don't really strap anything when I train. Like, I'm kind of okay, So like, why not?
Yeah, especially if you've been training like strength and conditioning your whole life. That's most important. Like, your ligaments and stuff like that. Okay, they're entities or whatever on their own, parts of your body on their own, but the muscles around them is what really makes them strong.
Yeah.
So if you've been doing that your whole life, then I mean, touch wood, it shouldn't be be an issue. So
you might have the little tear here and there, but it takes a little while to heal up, and you just heal it up, and you just focus on. Tore my bicep. I'm trying to think now the time scale, but maybe it was 2 years ago now, and I was back on the mats at 6 weeks. No, that was, I think I went. It was like might have even been like 2 months after the operation. That's when I flew to Durban and did the Sub Kings on the same day. And I won the absolute that day, and I fought, it was actually funny, I fought Kyle Lundy. We were talking about it at Ace, and the guy was under 77 then.
Crazy, eh?
I was like, how did you do that?
Yeah, look at him now, eh?
So that's exactly what I was talking about. These young guys, they change between like 18, 19, like rapidly sometimes, if they're just eating and training. It's like, if that's your life or that's what you're doing a lot, it just shows you how quickly someone's body can change between those years of like...
your physical peak it's different for different people.
Yes,
but you're still growing up until like 25. You're still maturing into your body. Sometimes even after that.
Yeah. So I remember crazy, this half working bicep in that comp. But that was the last kind of like proper injury that I've had, and then I popped my rib the week before at ADCC before the fight with Chris, which we kept very quiet about. When I fought Aiden in the absolute. I mean, the guy's like, I don't know, like 40 kilos on me or something like that. And I tried to like turn, and I just said, pop. And since then, I was like really struggling with inversions or just going on like bending over. But yeah, since that one, that's kind of like passed on after, we just keep moving. Jiu-jitsu guys, like you just keep moving. That's what you're going to
find a way to go get back on the mat, but it doesn't matter how injured you are.
100%.
Yeah. And tell me now, so you've had a lot of exposure to like aces, to like sub kings and stuff like that. And obviously having gone overseas and seeing what it's like with the trials, what is the level like? I mean, you spoke a bit about the production value. I don't know if it was off camera or on camera or not, but the production value, like say Sub Kings, I couldn't watch Aces because I think you had to pay for the stream.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe I'll see how it goes, But that looked sick as well because I mean, was it the ESC Performance Center?
Yeah, it was at the FC Performance Center. It was a hot day. Whoa, that place gets hot when it's hot. Eh?
It's like a big warehouse.
It gets hot in there. It's like a sauna. It was like a
greenhouse. Yeah,
sure, it was like a sauna, but it was kind of cool. It's like Joburg, muggy, hot, like this. Fights going on in the octagon there. So yeah, in terms of the production, from what I've experienced, obviously Abu Dhabi, it's like this like Arab militant type jiu-jitsu experience, and everything is very like militant. You feel like you're kind of like in this state when you're there. Like, am I doing something wrong? Am I in the wrong place? Am I
in the right lane? Person wrong or whatever? Yeah.
And then backstage, it's like you came out. Do you like they do like a pat down before you come out at AJP? You don't know. Most people don't know this. No, they're just like the way they check your gi just before you come out. They're like, it's like a pat down. They check you out properly. Yeah. Before you and your opponent come up, they call you in the. It's like the warm up area is like this massive, almost like a warehouse part of the arena.
Yeah.
And it's like 8 mats. It looks like the competition arena, like in each belt separated. And then like you got these screens up there, and they call you up, you and your opponent, and you go up there and you both stand there, and the guy does like a full pat down, and they do a full rub down of your thing, and they check your gear again, and it's like you just feel like they check
the airport or something.
Yeah.
Go walk through a metal detector before you compete.
Yeah, and that's like, that arena is massive, and so I saw that. That was my first kind of like real experience of seeing that. And then with Sub Kings, they've also got like, I mean, Justin and Al are businessmen. You can tell these guys can run.
They're amazing.
They can run a business.
Yeah.
I don't know what. I know Justin does transport similar to me, but he does like some sort of waste transport. But I don't actually know what Al does. But you can tell what they do is they're Joburg, like that's what I love about Joburg. Actually, I go there and like a lot of love for people in Joburg. Is like they're like nicely structured. They organize things like
they're just like busy as well. All the time.
The winner takes all WhatsApp group, spreadsheet, timing, updates, things change. You're constantly getting fed information like in this group with all the other all the other competitors. It's like it's really done. It's done super well. Super organized. So yeah, I enjoy that about that. You're there. They've got their team and everyone's mic'd up backstage, and they're like, they come to check on you. You're ready. You're on this thing. You're like, follow me. You're going left. You're going right. It's like
proper.
Yeah, it's really like there's a whole buzz going on there with the staff behind the scenes, and they make it happen. They, and the production level and the camera is awesome, and and Ace was very, very similar. Demott was like, this guy's like, I don't even know when he sleeps because like he would send me a message like 10:30 in the evening. And then the next
training at 4 o'clock.
The next one's at 3:30.
Crazy. I'm like, when do you sleep? Bro?
I've got to sleep, and then I've woken up, and he sent like messages in between that time, and I'm like, crazy. I said to him, bro, you're the David Goggins of South Africa.
Yeah.
He's like, when do you sleep?
But I've heard that guy works super hard. Like BK was telling me, he's met 2 people that work that hard, and I think he said Don Madge and Demott. Yeah, and you can see it, bro. I mean, and so I saw that overflow into Aces. I saw that. Like you could see him, like even with the instructing and trying to like organize the young guys, because a lot of the guys are young MMA fighters, so they're like, and even the way he spoke to them is like, giving them a lot of support and advice. And he's like, hey, there's 1 or 2 guys didn't make weight. He's like, you guys need to be more professional. You need to think about this. For him, obviously, as a hard worker, that might be something that's frustrating to see. But the production was also very cool there. I really liked the camera work that was there. And for me, having had that experience, I definitely think that like the one improvement that Sub Kings can make is they can either go to the ground, which would kind of mess with the little spectacle.
Yeah. That's the one thing they could do, or they could barrier. They would do it to the ground and barrier, because I think that is really the future of like entertainment jiu-jitsu. Is like, it's definitely you need to be able. I don't think the raised stage is like the best way to present good jiu-jitsu, and you saw that with Chris and I.
Yeah.
It's like there's like a short on someone posted, like was a video where like I'm like a slow motion video. It was very cool to watch. I think Mark did it, and like I'm doing like an underhook, and it's all like slow motion, and you can see like I'm pushing, and I know I'm going there, but then I pull back, and he like grabs my neck, and then we go down.
Yeah.
And at some point in the fight, I was trying to not go over the side, and like, so that happens in a very quick, like 2-second moment. You don't know that. Nobody else knows that. I know what I've done. He knows he's tried to shoot on me and like pull back, and there's a couple of times even one of the commentators said like in the fight, like, oh, you can see they still got a respect for each other, because Chris doesn't want me to like,
you don't want to go freaking jumping off the stage.
So I think that's in terms of what I've experienced now, because I had the privilege of being invited to do Ace as well, and like I think from what I experienced, I now, and I hadn't thought about it before until I had that fight with Chris, where I was like, the sides matter. And then having had the experience of being in the cage where I have you pushed me against something, and now it's resistant. Now we continue fighting, you know. And Chad, unfortunately, paid a price for the wall being there, you know. And so, production level for both of them are amazing. You know? ADCC is also like, you know, it's got such great potential. The one that we did last year, where they did UFC Fight Pass, you know? So I was like, because I'm kind of like part of the support team at Renzo's. Like, I run my own business, but I'm also like helping there, mostly with like new members, changing light bulbs. You know, I do a lot of like the maintenance in the club, because I just like, I am good with my hands, and I like to get involved, and so I'm able to like watch a lot of the BJJ event stuff that good. So I'm like, I watch it happening. I'm not really part of it. I am sometimes part of it a little bit. I might have an opinion, but not like I'm not a BJJ event staff. Yeah. But because we're all at the same club, it's like there's some overflow of. And also I run a transportation business, and we often will transport the mats. You know, I've done so for Rico and all these guys too. And so I get to see the back end of some of the production, you know, like that one was a very cool one. Yeah. You know, in the CTICC. That big camera on the arm there over the top view. Yeah. The room is gigantic. You know, it's like, it felt very cool in there. And you could see like the production level. You watch it afterwards on UFC Fight Pass. I mean, it's cool to be on UFC Fight Pass. 100%. And it like looked better than some international events, you know, as does Sub Kings. You know, it looks better than like some international events I've seen, you know, that the sky's the limit for that, for Sub Kings, I think. And I saw they're up to production now. They're doing like a preview show, and like and that's going to take even more. And they're getting I don't know what the monetary reward is for it, but like they were the first guys ever to say to me, here's flight money. Oh really? Yeah, I was like, here's flight money. Like, yeah, it's difficult for us. Like you go to Joburg, every time you're spending $3,000 just to get there on the flight. Maybe it's even $4,000 now. You know, and like a production says, hey, here's the money for that. You're like, that's because, you know, we just spoke now a moment ago saying like, oh, you'll find an excuse not to compete. Yeah. You know, and like if that is one of them, you know, if you big excuse. Yeah, if you gave guys, you put them on Sub Kings, and you say, well, you got to get here yourself. You know, like some of them would like, oh, I'm not, my arm's a bit sore, you know, but hey, you've covered my flight. No matter what my situation, I might pick up a little injury beforehand or whatever, but I'm coming. You know, you've sorted me out to the flight. I'm committed. And Ace did the same. That's awesome. Yeah. Dude. So and then there's the bonus with the prize money. You know, so you win and you get some cash. So you're not out of pocket. Yeah. Just to get there before you even have to do the matches. Are you going to do Sub Kings now? Like because of the whole. I mean, I saw the post that they put up with the JJ Garza story, and like I just posted there like, what do you need JJ Garza for, and what's the benefit? Yeah. Not because like I really don't know. Yeah. Like, you know, so but the one thing I know is like JJ Garza said, if you do those events and you can't do their events or something like that, or I'm not 100%. I just saw snippets. Yeah. I also don't know. And I'm like, I have like a busy life. I do multiple things. I take my training very seriously. I try not to get involved in like any of the back end of anything. You know, I'm at face value. So I don't actually know what the complete issue is. You know, I don't know what the story is. I don't know if it's regulated refs or whether it's or whatever rule set. I don't really know what the actual issue is, you know, myself. I don't really know. I'll compete anyway. You know what I mean? Like I'll compete. I do wonder whether it becomes competitive between Ace and Sub Kings, because now we've got two Joburg-based great productions that are backing it with money, and you know, and so that might be quite a competitive thing. And I'm sure even now, I don't know why I suspect the reason why Chris dropped out of the Ace against Chad, because I was just a replacement. You know, I suspect it might be related somewhere as well. So that's also a competitive thing. So you got like these, you got these different brands battling to find, because the pool is still pretty small. You know, now at least, at least for Sub Kings, they're bringing Ash down. And that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to like tap into Angola. Sub Kings once offered me one of the guys from Angola, Fadi from Angola. Fadi? I think so. And And I was like, yeah, sweet. And then nothing came of it. But I think they're going to, like, all these guys will have to tap into Angola and then maybe the UK as well, because the time zone is similar. So it's not too difficult to get here. You know, it's not like America, Australia. So, you know, like, I think there's a lot of competition that's going to go on between different promotions to find the fighters. And then I don't know if anyone's going to sign contracts, because it's really,
that's what they're probably going to have to do.
You know, like, so
I doubt it though, because they don't even do that in the States, really, do they?
Okay,
you know, do they? I mean, because like you look at Gordon Ryan competes at a whole bunch of different places, and Craig Jones, and
so I would like
you just want to compete, basically.
I want to compete. I don't give a but I don't care about anything. Anyone who knows me, who's close enough to me, that knows I don't care about anything except for, like, I want to enjoy myself. I want to have a good time. You know, I want to joke around. I take nothing too seriously. You know, so. But yeah, I haven't heard anything from Subkins since the last fight with Chris and I. The only thing that I did do, I was a little bit critical about some of the reffing on the night, and I don't know if that went down well. I don't know. No one said anything to me like, "Oh, you shouldn't have said that" or anything like that. No one's criticized me for saying that, because it was. I mean, you could
there's two sides to it.
Yeah, well, there were some reffing errors, and I mean, even like the back take with Chris and I don't you want to say like, oh, but some people watched it and said like it wasn't cleared, you know. And some people with a lot more experience than me and anybody else, that's like, I've gotten messages on Instagram and were like, no, you had the back stall, you know. So afterwards, Al was also like, he came up to me and he was like, no, we're going to have to replay that. But I haven't heard anything since then. I still said afterwards, actually, in my post, I was like, come, like, Chris, let's go again. No time limit, you know, something like that. But nobody took any bites. And Chris and I haven't spoken. We've had a couple of drinks since then together as mates, and no one's said anything or like
looked to set something up again.
I think it was like, you know. So anyway, this next one, I don't know when does this come out?
Don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. It's probably a week from now or something.
Okay, so we've got Ash and Chris. You know, and that's very exciting as well, because I've rolled with Ash. He came and did a seminar. I rolled with him the day before, and then I rolled with him at the seminar as well. And I've seen him since in Poland, and I've seen him since in Croatia, and we're friendly with each other. We had a drink with each other afterwards, and after the day after the
seminar.
So we had a drink with each other as well. I got to meet him and his wife, and very nice guy. Like after I met him, I was like super motivated, like really motivated. He just told me like how Drake runs their competition team, like some of the rules that they have in place, and it's like obviously like this like militant type, like a bunch of other people taking the training as like being so serious about it as I am, like really made me super motivated. I was like, I want to go there. I want to go there and just feel it. And you've seen the Drake guys at ADCC. They just like, they come out there and you can just see that they're good. And he's on another level. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with Chris and him.
Yeah, it's good for South Africa's guys to have people come over, you know.
Yeah.
I actually was saying to Jason, they should have looked. There's a bit of weight difference now, but Luke Griffith and Johan have a match up there, you know. Like, it would have been fun to watch, you know.
Yeah, because I think like Johan is the freaking GOAT of South Africa, but Luke is obviously, you know, he's so good now.
Especially in the last few years, he's just and
he's also one of those, like, go back to what I just said now about a guy who's like, he fights like
as much as possible.
No, he fights at ADCC, he's a purple belt, and goes to America, and he's a different human a year later.
Yeah,
that's a different person. You know, it's not the same person, and it's so exciting to see that. So that's what I mean in terms of like in these young guys coming up that I get so excited about, like Connor and like you know, even with Geordie, you know, and these young guys, they can be different people in a year, in 12 months. You know, if they take their training seriously, if they're there 2 or 3 times a day. You know, and that's obviously what Luke did. He just did that recipe perfectly.
Yeah,
and it's so cool. Like, it's so awesome to see. And I think I saw him like at some point. I was like, bro, it's just like we're like all so proud of like to watch that, you know, as a country, you know, it's so cool. Same with Peyton. I love watching her like compete internationally. You know, you watch this, these people do what, I mean, had I rewind my life, you know, I would have loved to have lived their lives, you know, and like I could have, because like I have the same interest, you know, I have the same love for the sport. I could have like given everything to it. So, you know, it's just beautiful to watch somebody else live that out. You know? I really enjoy that, you know, it's really, really, really cool.
Do you think that like, because South Africa, we have the talent, like we've established that now in the last while, and there are good, like really, really good people that are still here that are doing well at the international stage. Do you think that we could have them stay here and do it, or do you think that they would have to go over like Johan and Peyton, or like a combination of them, or like what do you think it would be for South Africa to be like the next, you know, jiu-jitsu force?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, it's like anything, you know, you have to go to like the hive of the sport if you really want to be part of the, you know, the
on the pulse of everything.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's with anything. With like, if you're a successful musician in South Africa, if you really wanted to succeed, you would have to enter the British or the American market, right? And so I think it's the same way. I mean, you could probably live a good life in South Africa, being like the best in South Africa, if this is all you did, and all you did was train and instruct and had a school, and you know, you did these things. I think you could live a good life, because we do live a good life here. But if you really wanted to be like, to get to the pinnacle of the sport, you would have to go where the hive is. You know, you have to go to Europe at least, and America, I think. And that's why Peyton is there, and Geordie went there, and Kurt chases them away. He says go. He doesn't try and keep them in Cape Town at all. He's like, if you guys want to level up, you need a competition every weekend, not this like once every few weeks. So
you don't know how many people are going to rock up until the day.
And like, you know, and he's got a newborn, and he's like got a good excuse of why he's not doing well or whatever. You know, can I change weight? Like, you're just there. I mean, you're just there, and it's everyone's trying to do the same, you know, and it's just like, so I think we're far off that, unfortunately. I think that might also just be like a logistical thing. I mean, look at Craig Jones, look at Australia. Lachlan Giles, look at these guys, like they still even had to leave, you know, and like they I'm sure they're seen as a lot more progress than ours. So I think it's always going to be the case, unfortunately, you know, that we'll have to watch our guys go, do really well, like have a period of time where they are amazing, and then maybe return, you know, and start schools and uplift everyone else, so that we can ultimately like keep having these people out there with, you know, representing the flag, the next Luke and the next, you know, and like we can keep doing that. I mean, the sport is only going to grow. You know, I think it's just shown itself over the past 5 to 8, 10 years, maybe. Like, it's really just expanded a lot, you know. And there's schools opening all over the place. Luke Michael's got his school there. Cameron Pritchard's got his school there. You know, these are all additional schools popping up that are you know, and that's more people getting involved in the sport, and it's cool, man. It's awesome.
And you watch the kids train and compete. It's like, what the? Some of them have got like okay, but bar a couple of things, like it's flawless the way that they're that they're competing.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's good.
It's gonna be good to see in like 10 years when they're like 18, 19, 20.
Absolutely, yeah. We always joke about Rockin beating us up, actually, because he's now 15 or something, but he's been on the mat since I had started, you know, which was like 12 years ago. And he was like 4 or 5 years old, Kurt's son. We always talk about him beating us up, but it's yet to see anything like that materialize. So but we joke about,
wait till I get to 18 or whatever.
No, we joke about it because it's all living in the back of their heads now, you know. So it's all imprinted, some of those movements in the back of the head, and you start to see that, you know. But yeah, then you see these American kids that are just on another level as kids, you know, and that's super exciting, you know. So yeah, we also need that culture to kind of grow. And that's why we need all the sports. I don't know what all this conflict, I'm not privy to it, but like, you know, it's bad because anything that creates a bad vibe means negative. If something negative surrounds anything, it doesn't grow.
Yeah.
And you need just a positive experience to grow, and that's what we need, like everybody to like progress, and everyone to succeed, and everyone to keep contributing, because that will overflow into our kids doing it, and like parents being excited for their kids to be in the sport, but parents don't want to be excited about some sport where there's some weird politics going on. Like, no, let's leave that alone. I don't want my daughter. I don't want that.
Yeah.
You know, or rather let's just play soccer. You know, where everything's up front. You know, whatever. Not to say that these things I'm just making it.
No. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, that's why
a negative environment for your kids to be in for any shape or form. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why we need everyone to support all the competitions. You know, like Rico throws a competition. You go out there, like many people as possible. Kurt, BJJ, Vince, whatever, like Sub Kings, anybody, you know, like any of the Joburg comps, like anywhere, you know, you want it to be like, you want places like Bloem to have competitions in there, you know, like that's why I thought like Bloem would be a cool place, because it's kind of in the middle of the country, you know, where we could have everyone could kind of all go there.
Yeah, it's like almost an equal traveling.
Yeah, I also I do have a transportation business, and like you can get to Bloem in a day from Cape Town. Joburg is like 2 days, you know. But a team could drive to Bloem, you know. It's 1.5 tanks there, 1.5 tanks back.
We used to take the train for school, bro. From PE to Bloem.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Grey versus grey.
That's
they had
the
solution
anymore.
No, yeah, you'd have to get the whole like train itself, you know, so no one else is on the train. But yeah,
but I mean, like you want to see these things, you know,
because when everyone progresses, when they progress, everyone progresses.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And at the end of the day, whenever there's politics, you see it in a whole lot of other sports. Who suffers at the end of the day?
Yeah,
the competitors.
Yeah,
and the people just want to go and compete. Like if you want to go compete at every single competition, it's like, oh shit, I can't go do that now because of this reason, or that because of that reason. It's something I'd like to. They tagged me on that post to say we should do like a both sides or whatever.
Sit down chat. Yeah.
If honestly, like if anybody wants to do it, I'll do it.
Yeah.
You know, if people are keen, I'm sure a lot of people just want to know like what the story
is,
you know, what both sides are. I'm sure both of them are right in instances. Both of them are wrong in instances.
Yeah.
As is always the case.
Yeah. Everyone's got an opinion. It's your personal opinion. You know, some people disagree with me about things, and I don't hate them because of it. It's like we have different opinions. That's okay.
We don't have to agree. Yeah, we don't have to agree.
That's I know, but like, how can we keep like and if you keep maintaining the positivity of like positive growth, that's the most important thing, you know. So if that's a common goal, well then like, how do we get there? You know? And so it would be very interesting for the rest of us to also be in on what the issue is, you know, so that we can also have maybe a more informed opinion about, you know, everything.
Reach out if you. I wouldn't even know who to. I know Al runs. You're saying Al and Justin, JJ Gaza. I'm sure there's a lot of people. But it would be quite interesting just so that everybody could know where they stand with everything.
So but as I say, I'm not the best person when it comes to, even though I'm connected to Kurt, and Kurt's part of Gaza or whatever. Like I really don't actually. I just don't have enough time to get involved in certain things. I don't even know what the story is behind most things, you know. I just know that I wake up, I've got to take my daughter to school, I need to do cardio, I need to do weights, I need to train for X amount of hours, I need to manage my business simultaneously, you know. I've got a home, a relationship, you know, because you've got to do all
life.
And then I don't please don't give me an additional
like no negativity anywhere, bro.
Don't give me an additional concern that I've got to somehow, you know, work out. I'm like, can I compete? Put me in, you know?
Yeah.
When the ACE thing came around, like someone's like sent a message, like, hey, we're looking for someone who can make 75, blah, blah, blah. Can Des do it? Yes, I can do it. You know? That kind of thing. Like, I like 100% want to fight.
Yeah, I hope it stays that way. I just hope, you know, like we don't know what the story is, but if there's just, they sort it out, or whatever, they don't have to agree. But just, you know, don't let the athletes suffer.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, because it'll put everything back, everyone back.
100%, yeah, 100%. And I'm gonna, I'll still compete at any competition I can that I'm available to do, and I have the time and the money to get there. Like I'm competing. I don't want. I feel left out if I don't.
You have bad FOMO when you don't compete.
Yeah, big time. Yeah. Even Sunday was like, my knee's just coming right now after the 2 weeks, and I was like, I had a little bit of FOMO on Sunday when I was there, and like, you know, I want to compete. Like, it's such a nice feeling, you know. It's like, even when you lose, and I like really checked in with myself a couple of times after some losses, and I was like, I still feel good. And I was like, So why not, you know?
No one ever got worse competing, you know. You always still got to make that progress. But I'm talking all this motivational stuff about competing. I haven't competed for like a year anyway.
Okay, we're gonna get you in the competing.
I do want to go back as well. You know, it's like but like you say, it becomes easy to make excuses and find ways not to do it, and you know, I'm guilty of that as well. You know,
exactly.
But,
then you know why, and you can and like it's also like a great. What I find is like I'm quite I overanalyze myself and my thoughts and my thing in the situation, and like I'll like overanalyze things. That's why I can't get involved in some things, because I'll overanalyze them, you know. So like I like analyze myself going through the process of competing, and I like watch myself get like worked up, anxiety and stress, or I'm like constantly like just checking in with myself, like, oh, you're feeling stressed now. Oh, this is it. Oh, there's lots of people in here at ACE. So I'm like, I got there, arrived, like it was hot in there, loads of people in there. I'm like seeing the cage for the first time. I'm like, oh, there's you, like getting anxious now.
Yeah.
Got a bottle of water, went for a walk around the block, and checked in with myself, and like I'm literally like talking out loud to myself like a crazy person, because like you have to check in with yourself, you know.
You have to.
And you work through that, and came back, and I was sitting there and I was like, oh, I'm much more relaxed now. And it's like these kind of experiences are actually like you can't tap into that in your normal day life. You have to put this like really big, intense challenge in front of yourself in order to be able to have that experience that's like cathartic a little bit, where you like work, you feel your anxiety, you feel your stress, you feel the excitement, you know, like there's something in that's actually very healthy for you, you know. And it's because there's no negative repercussions. So if you don't tap, maybe you can break something. But if you know you're going to tap, then you know they are negative. I mean, maybe your ego gets a little bit bruised. Like,
maybe you're disappointed for a while or whatever. And
shame.
It's like on to the next one.
2 weeks later, you're back on the mats and you're having laughs, and it's fun, and you're checking the next one out, and like, oh boo, you know, you were there. There were some people sitting in the stands that couldn't even process that stress that they might have thought about of entering, or like wanting to compete or doing anything.
Putting yourself out there in front of people.
Some people can't even get to that point where they click it on smooth comp, like click. Can't even do that, you know?
Yeah.
But like, and so you there, you know, and so you should be
You're
proud.
already ahead of like 95% of people.
Exactly. You should be proud of yourself, you know. So I say this to you, or say this to anybody you like, and there's a time scale on you in your early 30s now. I use you as an example because we're sitting here talking with each other, but like, you know, like if you have any issue, like doubts, not doubts, like you have any interest in competing, don't like let any negative thoughts about it like hold you back from that, you know. That's because it's only good for you, you know, and it's fun, and it's and it also is the more people that compete, the more the sport grows, and it goes back to like wanting no politics, but also lots of competitors. And so we can all contribute in some way. And entering a competition is also a good example about how you can, you know, it's the same thing as like being part of a gym, entering the competitions, representing your gym, being there with your teammates. I mean, what a cool feeling. Beers afterwards, celebrating, you know, he's got a gold medal. Oh, awesome, you know.
Hey, motivating me here right now, bro. No, definitely. I mean, it's 100%. I mean, jiu-jitsu, just like competition or not, is it's about obviously the training and the getting better and all that kind of stuff. But there's a whole outside part of jiu-jitsu that sense of community. You know, sometimes people are injured, like long-term injuries, and then they'll still come afterwards. You know, like we used to do the morning class, and then afterwards we go for coffee at Vita, and then like people would just rock up for the coffee just to talk shit afterwards.
Exactly,
you know? It's therapeutic.
It's therapeutic, and once you leave school, you know, you might be part of a team, but generally, like, it's difficult to find people in their late 20s to early 30s. Like most of my friends, none of them do team sports. You know, they might go to like yoga or something like that, but like when you have a team sport that can carry on into your 50s easily, you know, it's so healthy for you, man. It's so healthy to have this group of people. Like, you know, the jiu-jitsu for me is a lot more than just the competition and the techniques and everything. The community is like, for me, it's almost like number one. You know, like the other stuff is just fun, but I love the community on my teammates. Are like, I feed off them, and they're so like the banter. Like, I literally like, I live for the banter in the room, you know. So, and that sense of community is cool. The Friday, we have Friday drinks usually. Where we train on Fridays, and we have like some drinks afterwards, and it's just sitting there, and it's just banging out banter and jokes with each other, and it's just It's just like it's one of my favorite parts of the whole experience, you know.
Most definitely.
And I like it, and everyone is welcome to it as well, you know. It's like there are guys who have joined us that they were new members a year ago, you know, that now we go and we mates, we go have a lunch together, and you go, and it's so cool that jiu-jitsu can do that, because I think there's something unique about the sport where you like, I used to do yoga.
Really?
Yeah, I used to do loads of yoga, yeah, before jiu-jitsu even. Yeah, so like a lot of my agility, maybe my flexibility, I've somewhat gone now.
Good base.
But yeah, I used to do I love heated yoga classes. When I first started jiu-jitsu, I used to take a bunch of the guys like Carl and Richie, and I was like, guys, come, you got to check this yoga life out. So you can try and, I think I was like, I saw Don there, Don Manager there at some point. Like there's a lot of guys that go to.
There's benefits. Look, I'm not discounting the benefits at all. Yeah.
But you touch the guy next to you. Hey, why don't you touch me? Like, everyone gets weird.
Really?
Yeah, people get weird. Like if you by mistake touch the mat next to you, like, oh, sorry, you know, everyone's sweaty, obviously. And then you like find jiu-jitsu, and it's like, we're going to sweat and we're going to touch each other's
space. Yeah.
And now we're like, the connections are, and it's funny because I always find this. I always find it funny to talk about this, because I used to go to yoga and it's all about this you know, like everyone's like, let's chant together sometimes or whatever it is, and it's all about this oneness, and you know, it's like it's kind of based upon this this like unity, and then I've been where you mustn't touch the person next to you. Then I've been in a jiu-jitsu club which is about combat and competition and fighting, but I've found more unity, and because I've checked both environments, I've found more unity, more oneness, more togetherness, more like we don't chant, but there's a much more unified experience in a combat environment room on the jiu-jitsu mat that I found than like almost comes across a little bit pseudo like unity in a yoga environment. Not because I love it, you know, but like I've checked both environments out, and I promise you I've felt more love on a jiu-jitsu mat than I have in this room where you mustn't touch a lady next to you, you know, she's going to get agitated with you know.
So you'll be in someone's personal space, like 2 meters apart.
Exactly.
Social distance.
So that's also pretty interesting, you know, that like the community is cool, and there's just your teammates are cool, and also the scope of people that we have in that environment. You know, we've got like someone who's just finished high school last year. We've got Nabil, 18 years old, from Gracie Park, and he's training with us full time now, and he's great, and he's, you know, like the future, hopefully, you know, and
life's beginning now for him.
And then we've got father of 2, business owner, 45, 50-year-old with your instructors, you know. You've got all these people in the room together, and you are kind of, you're the same people, you know, and it's fascinating because he's an 18-year-old and he's 50-something, and everyone is together there, and it's really
different walks of life, it's different parts of society, it's different body shapes, it's different parts in your journey.
So cool, and that's like really can bring like diverse people together, diverse experiences, life experiences, cultures, yes, definitely, but yeah, just like different points in your life, and it's really like I love the community. I love that. I love looking at the picture and realizing everyone is so different. And like so different walks of life, but this is what we all mutually love to do. You know, that's also super cool for me. You know, I really enjoy that. And then you go to another city, you walk into any other club, anywhere, and it's like straight away, oh, my people. You know, hey, here I am. You know, and I had that,
or another country, whatever, you know.
I had that when I went to Poland now last year, and in Croatia now. We went the day before we trained at Grindhouse in Zagreb, and it was like the guy's like, yeah, come, welcome, just
exactly,
homies, you know. And the same thing in Poland. I went and trained at Flow Fighters afterwards, and it was just literally like, oh, these are my people, you know. And it's just literally walk into another room, and it's like you there with your
it's like you know each other for
friends.
a very long time.
You know, like everyone's on the Instagram now, we all follow each other, you know. We all check what he's up to. Has he won a competition? Oh, cool, you know. And you keep doing that as like an international competitor, which would be really cool. And just keep meeting these cool people around the world doing on the same kind of like path as you. So yeah, that's for me. That's one of my goals this year. I would like to obviously still compete as much as possible. That I should be back at it now. I don't think I'll make Joburg this weekend. But after that, I would like to compete as much as possible still, as long as I can. And I would like to go to Nogi World Masters in the States, because I'd like to.
That's in Las Vegas, eh?
Yeah. So I think that's what
That'd be like
and then also just to check, because those are like stacked Masters divisions, you know. So I dig to see how
what's the level? What's it like? How many people?
Yeah.
That'll be a brand new experience, I'm sure, as well.
So I think that's my goal this year. Like that, that's what I'd like to do. I think that's in like end of August or September.
Okay.
I'd like to go do that. Yeah.
How do you get there? What's the qualifying? Can you just?
I think you can just enter.
Just rock up.
Yeah. It's IBJJF or IBJJF. Yeah. You just enter and obviously fun depending. But yeah, I dig to go and do that. And I think I've got a good chance in Masters.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I think I like.
Especially now seeing, I mean, and it's not just saying it, it's like seeing the results as well that you've had recently as well in the Masters divisions, and you've got a good gauge already so far.
Yeah, I mean, like all the guys that I fought in Europe, that I fought at my level, at my age, it was, I mean, I beat them, you know, at all submissions. So I think like hopefully I can go to America and I can do something, or hold my own at least in the Masters division. You know?
And if you don't, then there's always next year, and you'll learn something from it.
Exactly.
And you can just move. You can
full experience. Yeah.
And I mean, I'm there to see it. You know, I wanna. I'm amped to see it. I'm amped to see you compete in as many competitions as possible. I dig your style as well. Like you were talking about, I dig, like, you have your set style, and you just wear people down like that. I enjoy that style.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and I don't mean that as in like that's you. Just some people might take that as not saying something bad about skill, but obviously your skill is also there with it. And I just like that when people have that grinding style that wears people down, and people wilt under the pressure.
Yeah. No, it's fun. Like, and I also like, I just find it like, it's entertaining as well. You know, if you like come out the blocks,
it's intense. But
so you come out like sit guard and you slowly butt scoot in there like smoothly. Like, yeah, you might win because you got like really good leg attacks and stuff. But I want to like be in a fight. You know, like I want to feel that like. There's a couple of times that Chris and I headbutted each other by mistake, and it was like we were both going at it, you know, and it's like mates, you know, but like that's fun, you know. That's like that's like entertaining combat sports, you know, because jiu-jitsu can also be like very boring to watch, you know. I've you know,
especially when people are chasing points, man. I don't like that about some of the.
Yeah, I've shown people jiu-jitsu, some mates, and they're like, well, you know, it's difficult to understand what's going on, you know. So when it's like exciting and it's like a grind, then it's pretty.
You don't know what's gonna happen next.
Pretty easy to understand. You're like, one guy's winning and one guy's losing. There's one guy's being grinded out and the other one's not, you know. So I really do like. I also find that that's like entertaining jiu-jitsu. Like I have fun as well. Like but yeah, there's a place for everything there as well, I guess, you know. So.
Oh, we're looking forward to it, and you know we'll definitely be keeping an eye on everything. And
awesome, man.
We really appreciate the time for you coming through. I'm glad we made it happen finally.
Yeah, thanks so much.
I feel like I'm saying that a lot lately, but no, I really appreciate it and the insights and things like that. And I'll definitely be keen for a follow up after Worlds.
100%, bro. I'm super keen, man. And I mean, guys like you also are part of the thread that builds the sport. You know, like it's not just the guys who throw the competitions or the guys that sell the jiu-jitsu clothes or the brands that are involved. It's also the people, the photographers, you know, the podcasters. There's a place for all of this, you know? And it's like, that's why I was super keen to come on and because, you know, this is a part of the building blocks of the sport, you know, and it's young now, you know, there aren't like 50 podcasts out there. So, you know, I wish you as much success as thank you as that, you know, I might get on the mat.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, hopefully we can play a small part, you know, and just everybody grow all together, you know.
Absolutely.
I think there's a lot of room for growth for the sports as a whole, MMA, you know, combat sports, jiu-jitsu, and hopefully soon we'll be seeing more Dirkuses and
some youngsters,
more Deslies and that coming through. I'm sure we will. I'm sure we'll international stage.
Yeah, we do. I mean, if you think back to 2 years ago, there was no Cara, and
you know, no Luke. There was no Peyton. Wasn't overseas. Like
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that there will be more that come along now, you know, and we've just had Nabil join us now in the club. I was talking about him, and he's like, he's going to, when he goes to 2-3 times a day, I know it's like he only just matriculated you finished December, you know, it's going to be a different person by December.
Yeah.
You know, and that's so exciting, you know, and it's cool for me now because now maybe I'm maturing now as well, finally, to the point where I'm like also really kind of keen and to be invested in like a younger person in the sport, where I'm like, if I go with him, I give it 100%.
Yeah, you're part of the journey.
Yeah, I don't want him to feel like anything's easy, you know, like I want him, like if I push him hard, then that's where he is, you know. And so I'm pretty excited about those youngsters coming up now, and even Connor, like I'll put a lot of chips in that corner if I can, you know, like he's got some crazy leverage and some also like I'm black belt. I don't care to take instruction from a blue belt in a class, because he's better at like understanding the technique and relaying it in a verbal term to me that I can't do. You know, I'm like a lot about feeling and experiencing, and then so I'll put a lot of chips on him as well. Like I think he could, in the next injury free, he could also like put on a great show for us international. I think ADCC, I think he might be really, really good. Yeah, I've got a lot of hope in him too.
It's exciting times, man. Exciting times. Well, thanks a lot again, Deslie.
Pleasure, bro. Thanks so much. Yeah,
yeah, sure.